From Peoria, Illinois.
We have a lot of stressors around us and still feel empowered.
To Houston, Texas.
I have curves.
Our lingerie collection, designed for all body types.
I'm powerful. I'm within my own body.
Making her own way around the world.
I just did New York Fashion Week.
The owner and founder of Delisa Rose.
It's really showing a lot of the intimacy within myself.
This is An Intimate Night with Delisa Rose, a podcast for every woman.
Finally, there's something for us, right?
Welcome to the world of podcasts. What a journey this has been. I know you've been talking about it on your site, but what is it about a podcast that you want to have your audience hear?
All things, love, romance, of course, lingerie, secrets, the things that we don't necessarily talk about outside the bedroom.
All right, let's rewind. Where does it all start for you? Is it in Peoria, Illinois? When's the first time you look at something fashionable and say, I want to do that?
Okay. The lingerie portion, I would say, aspect of me started in Peoria, but the business side started in Houston, right? I never thought I could be a lingerie designer. I just love lingerie. As a young girl growing up into an adult, being married, those sort of things, being in romantic relationships, of course, we go out and buy our favorite pieces, our little bedroom moments. I just adapt to that sector of the fashion world. But to turn it into a business, that was an idea I just played with and just see what happens. And then it turned into this big thing.
It came out of some pain. It was
did.
kind of, you've told me before that this was kind of your version of psychoanalysis, or like something you could work through.
I know. Like I always say, Delisa Rose kind of saved my life, right? Post divorce and post losing my mom and all of like the 3 years time span, I created Delisa Rose. Now I wouldn't say a too low point of my life because I'm still on this like healing journey, but that's the trick. How do you still remain confident, still remain beautiful and powerful on a healing journey and starting a love romantic lingerie brand? You have to pull from within. So I use all of those, bad days, those moments that I wasn't really feeling my best to create something beautiful. So it really was my own therapy, and that's why I'm doing the podcast too.
You mentioned losing your mother.
Yeah.
How important was your family in supporting this dream, this designer dream that started really in Peoria, Illinois when you are, how old, 6, 7, 8 years old?
No, I would say 14.
Oh, okay.
6 and lingerie.
Well, but having a desire to be fashionable.
14 was high school, and no one knew it was a dream. Okay, I had other talents that I was using at that time. I didn't even know it was a dream. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know it was what was in me. You have to grow into becoming who you are to understand what your passions and develop them accordingly.
So at 14, what's the defining moment?
In my grandmother's living room, dressing up in heels and a bra while she was away from work, acting like I was, I don't know. I wasn't knowing anything about Victoria's Secret at that moment, but I wanted to be this more like sexy, young girl, I guess. And as I got older through high school and 18, of course, as I'm buying my own lingerie, because Grandma would give us allowances and I would run to Walmart and get the little Mickey Mouse shorts, tank tops, whatever pajama sets. I was just always into pajama sets. And that's probably why I love loungewear and lingerie, because she bought us a lot of pajamas for Christmas.
And would you cut that up and make it into your own vision? Would you redesign it?
No, I didn't. But that was, Bill, I might have to take you on there. I did not. I just did the whole, Mickey Mouse shorts with a bra on. I might styled it. So I didn't.
And you're walking up and down your grandmother's living room
I literally have
like it's a
photos of
runway?
me standing there in her living room, posed in pictures. So I knew that, okay, I identify with this piece of garment very well. I love it. I love feeling sexy. I love feeling empowered. Now, so one would ask, okay, what's a 14-year-old girl know about being empowered? But then that same 14-year-old girl was still able to be confident, through all of my bad circumstances, even when I was going through what I was going through when I was growing up. So that's what keeps me going, is identifying myself, my pain, I would say, with something that's going to make me feel good. And that's what made me feel good at that time.
Well, let's talk about that pain. Let's talk about growing up in Peoria.
Yeah.
What were some of the stumbling or obstacles that you had to overcome?
Oh gosh. You're going to make me dig deep, Bill.
I'm not Barbara Walters. You don't have to cry.
Do you have tissue here?
You mentioned losing mom fairly recently. So
yeah. So mom. So okay. So
who's the core family for you? Who's raising you?
So grandma. Okay, grandma adopted me. Mommy was young when she had me. All right. So the stumbling blocks there were several. You know, we grew up in, I would say, not so good environment. You know, call it what it is today, would be like the lower end of Peoria, the project.
Low income housing.
Yeah, low income housings. And out of those, you don't necessarily see potential to become someone great, or examples of someone that's upper class or working a good job or having the haves or versus the have-nots, right? So before all of the madness, or I would say after all of the madness, my grandmother adopted her. That's when things kind of gotten a little bit better, because grandma was working for Caterpillar. She was earning a good wage, her and her husband at the time. And they had been there for several
years.
The
earth-moving tractor stuff, and that's a big Peoria company.
Yeah, so it origins is in Peoria, Illinois.
And she moves you out, you leave the projects, and she's in a different...
because at that point, she was 16 when she had me, Bill. You know, my mom was 16 when she had me. So it's not like she could provide. She needed her mom. You know what I'm saying? So
did she have a husband, or did you have a father around?
No, so my
at that
dad
time?
and my mom were both young when they brought the special piece to life. But they were still kids, you see, 16 and 17 years old. Like, what are you gonna do? So I'm really grateful for my grandmother for stepping up to provide a safe place, a home, and kind of showing now where I would say the lack between what my mother could do, what grandma was doing. So grandma resumed the responsibilities. She inherited all of the, I guess, role of being mom. And if she hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't be the woman I am today. But still, in her living room and doing all of these fascinating things at a young age, you're trying to really cope, I guess, and understand. Now I'm a 14-year-old girl in high school, 15, 16, and things like that. Who am I coming from that harsh environment now into some sort of a new life, right? And I would say by the time I got to later 20s, I got my own place. Now I'm in the world. Now I'm on my own. But some things were still missing, right? Who's teaching, I guess, a 20-year-old how to be a woman now? You know, I'm no longer that little girl. I'm someone that has to now face this world on my own and still be empowered. Was
your grandmother stylish? Did she have a sense of Sunday go to church kind of?
Yes, she did the big hats. Okay, we were at...
For people listening, you're sitting here in a big hat, which is sort of an homage to her, I guess.
I guess so. You know, I thought this was coming, you know, bring Texas to New York. Yeah. No, she did the whole, she loved dressing up. She's a very spiritual Christian woman. And when it came from my mom's home to her home, it was a night and day. Because now we're in church 5 days a week, because grandma was the Sunday school teacher. Okay, so it was up in the dawn, and you know, you go to bed at a certain hour. It was rules. All right, so
how'd you do with the rules?
I always adapt. I'm very adaptable. Oh. I follow rules that's one of my strengths, is to obey and uphold procedure and policies and guidelines. So I think with grandma, though, it was more or less just healing from the trauma and then coming into this new environment, which was a safe place for me. And
did she see the creative spark in you and encourage it?
No, I didn't show it often, Bill. You know, I think inwardly, it was always in me to know that I had something in me, but I didn't talk about it with grandma a lot, right? I think where grandma saw most in me is my responsibility, my maturity. I had to grow up fast. So we were all young, learning how to do more of adult things like cook, clean, make sure we had a house, make sure we could run a house, maintain a house, those sort of things. The academic part was more important than the passion part.
And at that, you were very successful. As we sit and have this conversation in Manhattan, you mentioned Houston coming to New York, and you had a fashion show this weekend we'll get to in a second. But you're an engineer. For people who don't know your story, you're, what's your degree in, and how did you, so your grandmother helping or pushing to you?
So grandma was already an employee for Caterpillar, right? Her and my grandpa. And once I graduated, I took a job with Caterpillar as well. Not on my own. I went and did the whole interview process, so it's not like I got them to get me the job.
The earth moved, literally.
It did. And I had a really good boss. I didn't go into school right out of high school because I wanted to be an actress. Remember, I moved to California first.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next podcast.
So my whole thing was acting and the entertainment business. So I feel like the fashion part of it is kind of a pivot into this business. So I kind of had some creative juice everywhere, if you will, within me. But the school part was through Caterpillar. They sent me to school. So they had programs that came to the site just to help me out. And I had a phenomenal boss that saw the potential in me. And I was working 2 or 3 jobs at that time. I had just bought my first house. I was 25 years old. Working 3 jobs to maintain it. And he said, I want you to stop this. I want to send you back to school. He sent me to school, and that's how I became an engineer, metallurgy engineer. And it's a blessing that still follows me to this day, so I can never repay him, you know what I mean? So he saw the hard work that I was putting into just trying to be better than generations before me, like kind of breaking generational curse, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of how I pivoted, and then the academic part of it became more my reality.
But your grandmother was very instrumental in saying the academia is important.
Absolutely. She was the more or less go to school and get an education person, her and my uncle, because I moved to California, and we'll touch on that. They were not really fans of becoming actresses and those. They didn't see those as sustainable employment. They didn't see that they saw it as play, like hobby, like something you just do one-offs. It's not something that you could dream to have a really good career, a potential career at it. There's no actresses and these sort of entertainment people in our family. There's all people who did the work, right? Working in manufacturing, and be it like Marines, or they went to the Army, or whatever the case may be.
Were you the first to go to college?
No, I have nurses in my family. Uh-huh. No, I wasn't. So again, with my cousins that are nurses, I have a cousin that is a lawyer. So it's taboo to say that I want to be an actress. Even what I'm doing today, my cousins don't understand it.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Delisa Rose, your luxury lingerie destination, featuring in-house signature collections and other beautiful designs from around the world. Lingerie for every woman, many made to order with a nod to her engineering background. All shapes, all sizes. More at DelisaRoseLuxuryLingerie.com.